share my screen so we can see the stories. So this is Mission Control, A Big Feelings Adventure, written by me and illustrated by Joe. And in the story, Spaceman Sam plays a really important role. If most people will realize how important superheroes are to children, and we see them running around with their capes and wearing their Superman pajamas and things like that. And so it was sort of a last minute decision to add in Spaceman Sam, because I realized we really need to have a model for Joseph, the main character in the story, in order to help get the message across that we wanted to get across. And one of the things that Spaceman Sam does is he teaches kids on TV weekly, in his weekly episodes, about what to do with your big feelings. And so he teaches kids, like, the first thing to do is try to notice it in your body. Like, can you feel it in your head? Can you feel it in your stomach? Can you feel it in your hands or your chest? Like, where do you see it? Be conscious of that, because if you can notice that, it's a signal. It's a message that says, oh, your body is trying to tell you something, pay attention. And then if you can notice that, it's the early warning system to tell kids, I need to do something in response to that feeling. And if I can pay attention to that and learn from that and understand what that means, I can get help from someone. So that's the say it part that Spaceman Sam talks about next. Let someone know what you're thinking. I don't want to go to bed. I'm still in the middle of my TV show. Like, can you get that? Can you summon those words and be able to let someone know that's a message that means I need help? Spaceman Sam also recommends after that a grown-up can help a child calm down in that moment. Most often people think about trying to teach kids to calm, but I'll show you in a minute some of the ways that I've been working with kids to help them learn that tool, but also other tools, so that that's more personalized for what they think they could benefit from, because not all kids like the same things, for sure. So these three components that Spaceman Sam talks about are really critical for adults to help children learn about, because if children realize parents are there to help them, of course they realize that, but if they can really understand that somebody's got my back, and I can keep my feelings in control, and someone will help me, then it's going to be easier to go ahead and solve the problem. So a child might say, I don't want to go to bed yet, I'm still watching Spaceman Sam on TV. A grown-up can help the child through these steps and be able to figure out how to solve the problem. So here's the story goes like this, with the introduction of Spaceman Sam and Joseph and Gretchen in front of the TV watching, having a great time. And Joseph is saying to Gretchen, Spaceman Sam is the best, right, Gretchen? And Spaceman Sam is so important to Joseph that he pretends to be Spaceman Sam all the time, and all these different scenarios that he's imagining. So that gives us a clue that Joseph has a big imagination, but it also helps us see, oh, he's working out a lot of things by pretending to be Spaceman Sam. And kids do those kinds of things when they're pretending to be superheroes. They like to work out problems where they think that there's something to overcome. They like to work out as a superhero right and wrong. It helps them sort of pretend in a safe way to be strong and brave. And it helps them understand, like, I can do good in the world. I can be like a superhero. I can bring justice to the world. And make a difference in my life and other people's lives in my world. And also even talking about, we don't see an example here in the pictures, but it's a team effort. Like superheroes work together to try to solve problems. So they have, all of that is kind of happening in this picture. And all is well until his mom says it's time for bed. So his mom is trying to stay calm. You can see in the bottom right-hand corner, she's trying to stay calm. But Joseph didn't, even though he was watching Spaceman Sam, he was not able to talk to his mom in a way that she could help him in that moment by going to the next step of going to the first step of feeling in his body. Well, he's feeling in his body, but really big. And so his mom does need, and he is letting her know. So it is, his mom has a really big job now to do that third step of helping to calm Joseph. So this is how she does it. She's helping him move from that big body with a loud voice, and move him gradually from that level to another level, which is allowing him then in the lowest part where it's blue to be able to think, okay, I'm calm enough now that I could maybe try to figure out how to solve the problem. And that's what happens here. She's helping him figure out, okay, what do you want to do? So in this story, there's 2 times that Joseph works through the 4 steps that Spaceman Sam talks about. This one right now is the big story where Spaceman Sam is saying, we see your big feelings. You let us know about that. And also mom is there to try to help calm. So he's done 3 of the 4 steps. The 4th step, you'll see at he's starting to go into that. And then at the end, he's going to understand like, oh, I did all those 4 steps. Spaceman Sam's message, we'll see that again at the end of the story. But also within the story where he's imagining how he's going to solve the problem about turning off the TV when he doesn't want to, we also see all 4 of those steps worked out. So here he is, he's going into his imagination. He's a space buff. He loves all these kinds of things. And so in his imagination, he's going to planet Kelvin 273. And that's where he's going to sort out or be the superhero and fight for justice, fight right and wrong, and come out with a solution that he knows he needs to coming up with conquering the desire that he wants to just keep watching TV. He knows that he wants to come out in the end being able to do what his mom has asked him to do, but it's really hard. So the imagination is the part where he works through how to do that. So he and Gretchen go into their imagination. Joseph pretends, back here, Joseph puts on a haptic suit, which helps him be like Robojo in the story. So they're one and the same. Robojo is kind of like an avatar for Joseph. And so he's all set to go. He sees that he's got his big feelings there to fight. The hypnozoids in the top right-hand corner, the green hypnozoids, are wanting him to keep on watching TV. That's what he really wants to do. So he's having to fight that desire to do that. And the hypnozoids have lots of power. And so they can try to hypnotize him, because we see kids sometimes, they're almost hypnotized by something they're watching on TV. And that's exactly what happens. The hypnozoids are able to wrap that hypnocable around Robojo in the battle that they're having. And this doesn't feel very comfortable at all to Robojo. And so if Robojo doesn't like it, neither does Joseph. So this is where they start going through the 4 steps that Spaceman Sam talks about. First of all, like, do you feel it? So we'll see that in a minute, where where Gretchen is saying, hey, Joseph, the hypnozoids are controlling you. Do you like that? And Joseph's like, no, my head feels funny. So that's the first signal that he's recognizing with the help of Gretchen, who represents mom. So Gretchen, or otherwise known as mom, helps him recognize that first step. There's something in my body giving me a message that something's hard. And so Gretchen is advising him of that, and Joseph is responding to it and saying, yeah, I do need some help. So Gretchen again is playing the role of mom and says, well, let's look at your gauntlet here on your uniform and see what could help. So on his gauntlet, we can see all the different choices that he has chosen to put on his gauntlet that might help him calm in the moment. I also use this gauntlet with the kids I'm working with, and I have a printout that Joe made for me that has blank boxes so that the kids can fill those boxes in themselves with the things that they think they could do that would make them feel more in control, with the help of a grown-up who can help prompt them to initiate, like, oh, let's look at your gauntlet. What could we do? You've already planned these out. And on the gauntlet too, I want kids to see their future self being successful, implementing those ideas that they put into their gauntlet boxes. So I'm going to share some of the ways that some of the kids I've worked with have made gauntlets and what they've done. So I'm going to show that to you. Just a second, please. So here's some examples of gauntlets the kids have made. So I'll just sort of go through these so you can see some of the examples that kids have shown. So some of them I'm writing the answers for them, and they're doing something like this. Not all kids can think of something for all the boxes. These are just all different ways that kids are interpreting the story. Some of them I'm giving them a little help, and some of them they're filling it in themselves. So you can see even young children can benefit from these examples, and they're all super proud of whatever they do. They walk out. What I do after I have them fill out the boxes is I let them cut it out. So I'm getting my fine motor practice with them, and then I laminate it for them, and then put little rubber bands, like hair bands, on the gauntlet so they can put it on their arms to wear it. And they walk out of therapy session super proud of this new tool that they have. So just a few more examples of proud kids showing off what they've done. And then also I often start by showing them Gretchen's gauntlet, and that gives them the idea of what to do. And so I try to show them that Gretchen also has challenges with being able to do hard things like take a bath. So I put on their ideas like no hypnozoids, because nobody likes hypnozoids. And the hypnozoids like to come to Gretchen's house in her bathtub and try to get her to like wiggle out of getting her bath. But her mom knows that she can help her by giving her peanut butter on the wall of the bathtub to lick. So that's a distraction, which is a great tool for kids as well. She gets a treat when she gets all done. One of the things I like to say with this picture with kids is like, oh, when I am all finished with my bath, I really like that I get a hug from Joseph, and I smell really nice. And Joseph always tells me, oh, I love the way you smell. You smell so clean. So I say things like that. I also have on here an option like I am safe, because like that's also an important message for kids to feel. When they're feeling upset, they do sometimes feel unsafe. So grown-ups can help children with doing things like distracting them or helping them know what to think and what to say, like, I got this. And they can even draw pictures of things that they can do instead of just the words. And that all helps calm kids a little bit. Joe, do you want to tell more about your gauntlet? Like, you've got other little features on here that are fun.
Yeah.
Kids often ask what they're for.
Let's see. Let me go back to, there we go. Yeah, actually, there was a lot of, like, when I was designing Spaceman Sam, what I tried to do through the entire book is the correlation between Joseph and Spaceman Sam. It's just like he looks up to and admires Spaceman Sam, and it's a lot of it is his character. So Spaceman Sam was kind of how do I want to put it? It's like he's a combination of like Captain America, Buzz Lightyear, and I based Spaceman Sam after Samuel in the Bible. Very wise, very honest, was all about justice and very virtuous. And so I felt those were like a good base for Sam, and to be a good teacher. And so I thought, well, if he's giving lessons on how to be and how to kind of give kids ideas of how to carry yourself, I thought that was a good foundation. And then since Spaceman Sam, and I look at like Captain America and Captain America and Buzz Lightyear, or even like kind of sound like Batman, where they're people, but they use a lot of their tech to do kind of like to represent their superpowers, but they're using their brain to create the technology that they use to do what they do and to be the superhero. And so that's where Joseph, his suit, his whole thing is like, if you look at Spaceman Sam's colors, they're like red, black, and white. And then Joseph, if you look at some of the previous pages before he goes into his imaginary world, he has a red shirt, he's got gray sweatpants on. And then when he morphs into his imaginary world, he has, it's the same colors, it's the same color scheme. So he has a red suit with gray boots, gray gloves. He has a gauntlet like Spaceman Sam, but it's his version of the gauntlet, and it has his controls based on what's going on with mom and what we're trying to teach it within the book as far as like control and what's going to help have control when he's going through his big feelings. And this everything that's on Joseph and with Gretchen, you see they have their little ear pods, like little, I designed that after like the old fashioned like Bluetooth headsets, and they look always kind of, I thought they always look kind of ridiculous when you see grown men with a big thing in their ear and a big mic and they're walking around like no one can see it. But I thought for this it would be great, just because if Gretchen is a representation of mom, there's that communication there. So that's why I had that thing, those little antennas and microphone in their ears, so they can communicate. So I thought there was always this open line of communication that they always have through the book, and the same with Robojo. So I love putting like these subtle tie-ins that relate to the book, but they're just not spoken, and it's just a visual thing. And what Nan and I have talked about in the past, and when we've read the book to groups of kids, and the whole middle part of this book, there's no dialogue, and it's just a lot of visual action, and it gives the kids a chance that are, when they're reading this book, like to interpret like what they can see what's going on. Well, what are they getting out of it without being told? They can see what's going on. So that was an important part of how I drew everything as well. It's just like I wanted kids to be able to look at this and without being told, like, this is what's going on. So yeah.
And a lot of kids do, they tell the story themselves. And then also what makes it great for me is that I can then help any child with any challenge that they're having and interpret it for them, or help guide their thinking and their learning if they're telling the story. So yeah, it's great. It's one of the best parts about the whole book for me, is that it's so open-ended. And so that's one of the reasons that Joe and I wanted to do this series of talks, is to help viewers, parents, teachers, therapists understand like some of these things that maybe are not so obvious, so that you can point those things out and implement those same things, and so they can do that in their own lives, in their own classrooms, at home, whatever, so that kids can benefit. So in the story, we go ahead with Gretchen going out of the rocket ship and looking out at the problem where she sees that Robojo's in trouble. He's completely hypnotized now. But the hypnozoids have complete control. And you can see Robojo his eyes are looking like they're hypnotized. So Gretchen does know that willpower is really what Joseph needs, but it's really hard when you're stuck, when you're having an upset, when you're really not wanting to stop doing something that you're having fun doing and do something that's not so fun. Gretchen, otherwise known as his mom, knows he needs help in that moment. And so at least Gretchen got Joseph to a state where he's a little bit calmer. But now, in order to move forward and actually solve the problem, what is he going to do? And that's really hard for kids. They're young. They have to learn how to do these things. And if the story can make it just a little bit more fun to do something hard, that's the idea. So if I can talk to kids about using willpower to do something that they don't want to do and relate it to the story, it's just a little more fun. And what I do is I give them, after we read the story and talked about it, I give them a little necklace that they can wear, and it has a picture of Gretchen. And that's meant to be a reminder that I can do hard things. And so it helps them kind of remind them of that willpower that they have to summon up in order to do something hard. So that's what Gretchen does. She goes to the side of Robojo's head, flips on the switch, so that Robojo can now have his screen lowered. So he's no longer being hypnotized by the hypnotron, and he can have his laser popping out, which allows the hypno cables to get snapped. And now he's got freedom. So now actually a child, or in this case, Joseph, can really have control over their thinking and can begin to start solving problems. So again, if we think about what the messages were from Spaceman Sam, if he feels that he can do this and get through that problem-solving step, okay, I'm going to be able to turn off the TV. I feel like I have conquered the desire to do what I want to do, and I'm able now to do what my mom is asking me to do, mostly through willpower and a little bit of fun added in and some support and love. Then he's able to accomplish that, and then he's back to his base, and he sees that the hypnozoids have been defeated on his screen. Robojo and Gretchen say goodbye to each other, thumbs up to each other. They accomplish their mission. Gretchen flies back into her spaceship, and there's a happy reunion. And then they're back on planet Earth, and his mom is trying to help him, like, process what just happened. And this is where I said before that Spaceman Sam would come back into the story at the end. And one of the things that is important for kids to learn and to help their brains grow is to understand what just happened. Many kids end up taking away a feeling of shame or that they're not, quote unquote, good kids, because that's what they say sometimes. They think that they're bad kids. They tell their parents that, or they'll say it to me, or they'll say things like, yeah, kids tell me I'm a bad kid, and I think it's true. So I'm trying to help them understand through narrating a story in a way that feels good, in a way that feels like a child has some control over what happens to them, and that they have hope that they can learn from this situation and that the next time can be a little easier for them. So his mom says, helps him know, like, okay, at first you had big feelings and you showed me that with with the yelling and the unkind words, and that was feeling it. And Spaceman Sam's there saying, and he's remembering in his mind, oh yeah, Spaceman Sam talks about that. And then she reminds him about how he let her know, and she acknowledged that, and then that she helped him calm down. And so all of this processing that his mom is doing with him, he's relating it to what he's learned from Spaceman Sam. And so the mom is showing him, like, so these are the 3 steps that I mentioned earlier that are so important to take, for adults to take their time going through with kids, because if the kids feel like there's not pressure, that there's not a rush to get through this, that someone's really there taking their time, understanding, acknowledging, showing empathy, all those things, then they can move on to solve it. So these are even kind of grouped a little bit that way, because they all do go together and are necessary before solve it can actually happen. And so now here he is imagining himself as Joseph, who is able to do hard things on a spaceship. And oh, that's a little bit of fun added in that I mentioned earlier that makes it easier for him to do what his mom is asking him to do. And then his mom takes him to his room and talks about how she saw his brain growing from doing something hard. And she's helping him learn again, what are the steps that you went through? You had your big feelings. And when we worked through it, you were feeling like you were not as upset. Your feelings were smaller and you were back in control and you were able to solve the problem. And there he is solving the problem. And the feeling that he had on the spaceship from finding his willpower and deciding to defeat the hypnozoids and do what was expected. That was the superhero role that he pretended to be, like Spaceman Sam in that moment. Like, I just need to be able to be like a superhero and do hard things and do what's right and fight that desire to do something that is not expected. And so she helps him like understand why his brain grew. And then she helps him realize, I can be in charge of my feelings. I do need help probably a little bit still until it becomes easier for me. But there's a poster on in his room that talks about the encouragement. Tomorrow I'll be a day older. Tomorrow I'll be more practiced. And tomorrow doing hard things will be just a little easier. Kids need that encouragement to understand, I did something hard today. I can do it again tomorrow. So she's trying to prep him for being able to do the same hard thing again tomorrow, because he's going to watch TV. He's going to want to be spending time with Spaceman Sam, and it's going to be hard for him to turn it off. But he's being able to see his future self as someone who can do that. And then he does at the end. So this is one of the little Easter eggs that Job added into the story, where if you look at the page before, he's got his superhero here but he's got him close at hand right there behind his pillow too, along with the rocket ship. So we see how important Spaceman Sam is to Joseph, and kind of helps piece together how all the little different aspects of the story that are added in really are related to child development and helping kids learn about self-control and about resiliency and feeling good about themselves and future self and collaborative problem solving and emotional regulation. All those are built into the story. Do you have more you wanted to add to that about Spaceman Sam, Joe?
No, I think you pretty much covered it. I don't know. I want to draw more, I think, in the future of more Spaceman Sam, because I think it's a important character. And yeah, he's in it for just a little bit, but I think what he has to say and what he represents is really super important. But it'll be nice in the future to kind of elaborate and make him a bigger character in the future.
Yeah, that'd be great, Joe. Yeah, I look forward to planning that together. So that's the end of today's session about Spaceman Sam. Next week, we have another session coming up. We still are going to talk about Joseph and his mom and Gretchen. So please join in for next week at the same time, same place, same link. And we'll look forward to sharing more again then. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.